What's up guys, welcome to my video. This video is going to be about submitting to Steam. Just a heads up, I make these videos so I can promote my game Familia. Familia is a classic style, Japanese style RPG, kind of like Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy V or 4. So, I've been submitting my game to Steam. As I'm posting this video on YouTube, I am actually submitting to Steam right now. So this video is not like going to be a guide about how to submit your video to Steam or what every step is. If you would like a more in-depth article, I will leave the Steam link to the documentation, Steam's documentation link in the description. Basically, the process comes down to 3 major phases. The first phase is you have to submit your tax and banking information. That usually goes ahead pretty easily, so after you submit it to them, they'll usually get back to you in about 2 or 3 days. After you submit your tax information, you need to do a profile submission or a Steam page submission. So at this point, you're submitting the content for your Steam page, your actual Steam page where you will buy the game, but you're not submitting the game itself. And then the third item that you have to submit is the actual build of the game. This was probably the most technically challenging part, so make sure not only that you set up for a lot of time for this to be accepted, but also time for you to figure out how to do it. And I'm a relatively technically proficient person, I'm a programmer, and if it took me 4 hours, then it's obviously not the easiest thing in the world. Basically, I just want to give you some main ideas that will help prime you before you start submitting to Steam. So, first thing I want to say is that submitting to Steam takes a long time. As a solo developer, I am limited on manpower. The last thing I want is to be finished with the game and not be able to hit a deadline because of submission issues. It's very important to start the Steam submission process early. So far, it's taken me roughly 3 weeks, more like 4. It's taken me roughly 4 weeks and I still have not had my profile approved. Once the game build is approved, there's an additional waiting period within weeks. With weekends approval taking an average of 2 days, approval can take, roughly 4 weeks minimum. Okay, so going through the whole process is going to take you at least like a month. Most people get rejected many times. So I think you should just prepare for that. As you go through the process, I wouldn't so much try to get it done perfectly the first time. I would more advise just get started early because you are going to most likely get rejected. A lot of the things that they say or the problems they have are somewhat unforeseeable. So the main thing is just to get the process started early. I can't really stress this enough. This is really important. So get started early on your Steam submission, even if you don't have a working build for your game yet. So Steam is going to want your tax information first. So just make sure you have an EIN if you have an EIN, and if not, you have to use your social security number. Of course, this is one of the few times on the internet where you're going to submit a social security number. If you want to use an EIN number, which is like I don't know what the acronym is, but EIN is basically a business tax ID. Start the process of getting an EIN. I think EINs can take like up to a few weeks to get one. So if you want to use an EIN and protect your social security number, make sure you get that EIN first. Someone is going to have to create a lot of images, okay? I think you have to submit with screenshots and different store views. You're going to be looking at least like 30-ish images. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to create new images, but you are going to have to submit images under the proper formats. This will take a lot of time to do. I would say my image submission took me about 7 to 8 hours total. That was designing the images. Some of them I used existing artwork, but I still had to arrange it and design it. And I also spent a lot of time getting rejected and submitting new images, or maybe the format of my images wasn't correct. So I consider myself actually fairly good at that type of thing because I'm a web developer. So if it was difficult for me, I'm gonna estimate that for the vast majority of people that's gonna take a ton of time, so just be really careful about that. The fourth item that I think a lot of people are gonna miss is that you need a trailer. So this is, to be clear, you don't need a good trailer. You just need some type of trailer. I fortunately had my beta promo ready already, even though I don't really consider that an official trailer. I was able to use my promo video, but I would say just get some type of video ready. You could do something as simple as just playing your game and then just kind of putting voiceover over it with a microphone. That's pretty easy to do, pretty obtainable for most people, so it shouldn't be a crazy mess to get done. Another thing I want to say is that I tried to do my game through open development, and it actually didn't work for me. Steam offers open development for indie developers. Open development basically allows early purchasers to influence the direction of a game's development. I wanted to use open development almost exclusively for testing purposes. I also wanted to have a very short time period to allow for open development. The Steam representatives actually suggested that I just share my game individually to people who are willing to help with testing versus doing the actual open development, which I thought was interesting. So if you are going to do open development, just be aware that they're going to assume that you're going to have a long period, like where mine would be in open development for a month. Steam, I think I got the impression that they want you to be in open development more like 6 months or a year, which is not my strategy at all. Okay, well, I hope this video helped you. I think that the bottom line is that I think you should just make sure you get started on your Steam profile super duper early, okay? So just make sure you're started early so that you can submit and everything goes awesomely. Okay guys, that's the video for today. I really appreciate you coming by. Make sure to check out my game. Maybe come by, hang out with me. I stream on Twitch regularly in the development process, and I got a lot of links if you want to check out any of my stuff. Check me out on Instagram. Just hit like 500 plus followers. So would love to see you in one of those mediums, and I'll talk to you guys later. Aloha!